Russell, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
Sure. You're obviously one of the movers and shakers in our industry, and very successful when it comes to leading the internet side of dealerships. And it was very nice of you to sort of open up your book a little bit and share some of the successes and tactics, more importantly, that you use to drive success at the dealerships you work with. So I included a little bit of an overview on Russell, and hopefully you all had a time ahead of the webinar to maybe read up, see some of the coverage that he's been featured in, even on Digital Dealer Magazine most recently. And Russell is a long-standing sort of customer of ours as well, very smart, precise in what he does, so it really is a pleasure. And so the plan for today is for Russell to share some of the areas that he focuses on, some of the tools, the tactics, the policies, the processes that he uses that it has delivered overwhelming success. And what I will do, Russell, if you're okay with it, is I'll sort of get the juices flowing here and just ask you a couple of questions, and then I'll let you sort of take it from there if that works for you.
That's fine. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's been a pleasure working with your group. We were one of the first dealerships to sign on for Response Logics when you got the Volkswagen franchise approval. So it's been a great experience working with your crew at the company and enjoying the success that we've had, and certainly using the tools has been a big contributor to that success.
Much appreciated, and I think what everyone will love about our webinars is that's as much as you're probably going to hear about Response Logics. We really try to keep it open and share whatever's working well for you. What I'd like to do is start maybe very high level, and if you could just walk folks attending through the kind of structure you use from an internet team standpoint at your dealership right now. Is it BDC? Is it ISM? Is it a combination? So I'll let you take it from there.
Well, one of the great things about an ISM structure is the cost efficiency. If you have an ISM structure, you don't have the additional level of overhead that you've got with the traditional BDC environment. BDC is probably the absolute best thing to do it if you have a budget for it, but in order for it to be successful, you need top-end management, you've got to have a call center staff, and you're going to have an additional level of cost that you don't have with an ISM model. We initially started the dealership with an ISM model, and since the beginning of the year, we have decided to become an internet dealership rather than a store with an internet department. So we have now trained our sales staff to respond to internet leads. And it was tough going at first. We saw a little bit of a drop in our closing ratios. Instead of being in the high teens, we dropped down to the low teens, but we are now picking that back up, and I'm confident that in the next 60 to 90 days we're going to be back up in the high teens for new car leads, where we'd like to be. So the showroom staff receives our leads, and they receive the leads based on an availability basis. So instead of having a round robin where you could have somebody could get caught in their car, caught in a test drive, and the lead doesn't get responded to, they're actually assigned based on availability. So they're assigned. We don't assign a lead until we know that the salesperson is available to handle it immediately.
Okay,
so
and there was a learning curve, obviously, as you sort of brought them over and had them handle that. And obviously you have automated quoting going on, and you're tracking the phone call and email activity to coach them with. Have you seen any turnover from it, or has it just been really you spending the time, so to speak, one-on-one to get each of them there?
It's been both. I mean, we had about a 50% turnover in the first 90 days of the new process. Other stores like Infinity of Coconut Grove, I think, have seen very similar types of turnover. A lot of folks are just not willing to be accountable for their customers. They're not willing to be accountable for their calls. They're not willing to log their calls. So we had a house cleaning. And we also, at the same time, started tracking every single phone call that came over and making sure that every single phone call got into the database. So that was also a learning curve with our sales force to know that if they get an incoming call, We were going to know what source it came from. We were going to be accountable to them to make sure it got into the CRM. So that, coupled with assigning leads over to salespeople that were available immediately to respond by telephone and email, has really made a big difference for us.
And are you doing that via the calendar and the CRM? So it'll sort of, or are you doing that manually based on their schedule?
It actually is not based on schedule. It's based on when the lead arrives. The sales tower assigns the lead to an available salesperson, and we have a staff member who monitors that during every minute we're open to make sure that the lead doesn't sit in the box, that it gets assigned out, and then I follow up to make sure that they get called on a timely basis. We're currently running 12 minutes, according to Volkswagen of America. They send us a report that gets sent from our CRM and verified by VW Corporate, and our average response time is running right in at 12 minutes currently.
Wow. And what I love about that is you're treating an internet lead almost like an up. It's like that's like someone standing on your lot. You're jumping on them with that level of passion. Well,
people won't wait in the showroom for 12 minutes, so why would an internet lead? Why would you want to keep them waiting for longer than 12 minutes? We found it's very important. The thing that an internet manager or a BDC manager can do, or sales manager can do to increase your closing ratios and increase your dealership's reputation is response time. It's absolutely critical. It's probably the most easily, I'm not going to say it's easy, it requires a lot of work to keep your response time, but it's a controllable that it can be managed and it can be tracked properly. So by restructuring our sales force and avoiding the additional overhead of a BDC, we've been able to get increased response times, decreased response times and increasing closing ratios overall. One of the things I've learned
go ahead, Russell. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I'm just saying one of the things I've learned about managing the e-commerce process is that you can't do everything. You've got to pick a few key areas and decide what the controllables are. What are the results that we can actually achieve? What actions can we manage, and then go after those actions.
And is there, from a tracking standpoint or an accountability standpoint, what are the thresholds that your reps are held under? Do they know they have to get to an incoming lead they're assigned within X minutes? Is there a time? And in addition to that, is there a level of follow-up they're held to over that first week or so?
They're responsible for responding, calling, and getting a hold of that customer immediately. If they haven't, we try to check with them to find out why or what the situation is, or find out if they've called the customer and just not logged them out. But if we can't reach the salesperson or they're out of the building, we're going to go ahead and reassign that lead. So this way, the allocation of the leads is more balanced because it's similar to a showroom allocation where people are getting helped as soon as they're walking onto the showroom floor. People are getting helped as soon as they raise their hand or they call in on the phone or they send in an internet lead. So it's the same process. We've also been tracking our...
Well, it seems to be proving true, right? If you're running high teens on internet close rate, and then granted you did a sort of consolidation of some of the staff in some ways, but still, it seems like you bumped right back up into that. I mean, that's a high mark to come by, so to speak.
Well, we're in the mid-teens right now. We're at 15% currently, and we're looking to, I believe that with some of the new systems that we're putting into place, this month we're doing a new CRM installation, and with that new CRM installation, we're going to have updated processes, and we expect to be back in the high teens for new car leads in the next 60 to 90 days. And we've been in the 20s for used car leads for some time. Sorry, we got a little dead space here. Dennis, what was the...
You had mentioned using some of the other tools out there, and folks always like to tap into that. So you mentioned changing CRM, but can you talk through both CRM and any other pieces of software that you equip your team with to be on, so to speak?
Well, regardless of the tool you use, it's got to have processes that are set up that are monitored. And any CRM you can be successful with just about any CRM that runs as long as it updates in real time and as long as it's a reliable tool and you design your process around that tool. It's really important to make sure that everybody in the dealership is enrolled in using it. And all the CRMs out there have got good points and bad points. What we use automated quoting initially, and that helps to get an immediate quote with the customer, even if you're closed, or if that, if you're not, they're getting some sort of a response that's managed, and then get a quote while we're open helps. We do quoting only if it's a general inquiry. We don't do a quote on a specific stock number. A quote on a specific stock number might be a lead from AutoTrader, or might be a lead from Cars.com. It may be somebody who's out of the area, and we have an opportunity to get top gross on that. So that's not necessarily something that we would send an automated quote out on. So we've learned to just do the automated quotes on general inquiries on new vehicles.
Are you comfortable sharing the CRM you're moving to, even though we hear you loud and clear that you've got to make the most with consistent
Yeah, I want to be fair to everybody involved. We're moving over to Vin Solutions. We've had some initial training, and we're doing our implementation next week.
Great. And are you using anything like, say, live chat right now to engage with customers, or any other pieces of software that you
We do. We're currently using ActiveEngage for our live chat. We use a hosted chat solution. We tested a lot of the vendors to make sure that we were getting the kind of response that we would like. The ActiveEngage Salesforce is the only one that we have calling our guests on a daily basis. And the reason that we have ActiveEngage do that is because they do such a great job with their staff and their training and monitoring all those leads. They do a great job helping us get better conversion from our website. And we use a hosted solution because it's very difficult to put an employee in the position of deciding whether or not to answer the phone, greet a guest, or handle a chat lead. And if they have to make the choice, they will always let the chat lead languish, and that makes a poor impression. So hosted chat is what we've been using.
And does that get keyed right over to your tower, who then assigns the lead if somebody starts to engage?
It works just like an internet lead. It feeds directly into the CRM, and we respond immediately. Chat leads it's very important to get a hold of a chat lead. That person is not willing to leave a message. They're not willing to send an email, wait for a call back. They're in such a hurry, they're not even willing to call the dealership. They want an immediate response. So as soon as it hits the CRM, they get a call.
From a lead provider standpoint, I know you track things pretty closely as far as ROI. Are there ones that you are a big fan of and that you see bringing a higher conversion? You gravitate more towards?
The best conversion that we have, I checked our year-to-date reports yesterday. The one we're getting the best closing ratio on right now is Cars.com. In terms of, let's see. Actually, I apologize. Edmunds.com is our best closing ratio currently. In our market, Edmunds.com is going with the direct model, so they're no longer sending the leads through another provider, so they're sending them direct to us. They're kind of struggling there in terms of getting us the kind of leads that we need. We tend to shy away from any kind of a third-party source that's using search engine marketing and setting up nets to send us leads. And when we have a regular lead provider who's doing that, we try to get them to discourage that so we get better organic results. The ones we use currently are Cars.com, AutoTrader, KBB, Edmunds, and Costco.
And so high conversion on Edmunds, just wish you had more volume. Cars.com maybe providing the higher volume. Anything you're doing that you think is driving up your website leads in a big way over the past, say, 6 months or so?
I would say the use of driving up web leads. One of the things we're moving over to is actual photos of our new and used inventory. So we've been doing, of course, used inventory for a long time, but we're now taking photographs of our new inventory and putting that online. We expect that that's going to give us a bit of a boost. Internet specials are good to have just the basics. internet specials online, having e-brochures online available for our guests, having relevant information, and reputation management is key these days.
And are you doing your reputation management in-house? You're sort of trolling the social media space, or are you using any particular company to help on that front?
Well, we're not comfortable having another company help us on social media. We're not really convinced that anything other than reputation management and online reviews has legs. You might have 1,000 friends on your Facebook page, but in terms of actually getting those folks to buy cars, that could be something different. But an in-market shopper is going to be sure to do all the research they can about your dealership and select your dealership probably before they contact you. It's important to keep in mind that excitement and the expectations of a shopper who's decided to go ahead and put his or her toes in the water. Go ahead and submit that lead. They're excited about the new vehicle. They're anticipating a professional response, and they are expecting to be treated right. And they're going to initially contact the dealership that's either closest to them or has the best online reviews and the best reputation. And that's an opportunity. Unfortunately, as we know, just based on closing reputation or closing ratios, a lot of dealerships don't do real well with that first response. They don't do really well with the initial reply, answering the questions that the guest is asking, and so then the guest feels they need to go somewhere else, or they have a bad experience when they're greeted here or greeted at the dealership they show up at, so they go somewhere else. But generally, the guest is going to try to buy from the dealership that's closest to them or has the best reputation in the area, and then only go somewhere else if they're not satisfied.
Anything you're doing from a happy customer or a customer that just purchased a car to help elevate perception in social media? Anything that you do as far as encouraging them or getting them while they're in store to become a friend or say positive words on a blog or anything along those lines, Facebook, etc.?
We're kind of concerned about being blacklisted or having the IP tracked or anything like that. So we're very sensitive about having the guest do anything in on site. If we have a guest who's super happy, we'll ask them to post a review if they choose or if they're willing to online. And I think that's a good standard practice to have. But that requires that your level of service is, you have to earn it. I mean, if you do just an okay job with your delivery and just an okay job with the follow up and after the sale, I don't think you've really earned the right to ask for a review. I think you've got to do an excellent job from start to finish.
What are some of the things that you do to maintain the quality control or the sort of level of professionalism that you expect the sales team to have when they're engaging with customers? Are there things that you do from a mystery shop standpoint, or how do you know they're living up to your expectations outside of just sort of response time tracking, things of that nature?
We try to do things with no cost. We try to really eliminate costs wherever possible. So we do the things that are free. Most websites have got call monitoring set up, and most dealerships don't really take advantage of that. We listen to the incoming calls, and that's the easiest, least expensive mystery shop that we've got. That's included on our website service. We also are. I also personally review the responses that the salespeople are sending out to make sure that the level is there. If I've got a salesperson who's continually, or even the first time, if they don't answer the guest questions about a vehicle and they just send a general template out to the guest, that's time for a one-on-one with that salesperson. So the only way that they're going to respond is a lot of this is just hard work. It's just getting into your CRM. It's reviewing the leads. It's taking a look at what kind of emails are going out from your dealership. And that requires one-on-one training with each sales associate.
I know you have really an incredible ability to not only attract but retain strong players. What is it about your store that makes you want to work there? I mean, if you could sum it up in some ways, what's the environment, so to speak, for?
Yeah, it's the support of our owners. We have a family-owned store. The Hewlett family is been in Georgetown, Texas, and we have been dealership owners here for over 25 years. I've been with the group almost 10 years now. They are big believers in treating the employees like family, so that in turn those employees will treat our guests like family and with the respect that they deserve. Wonderful family. I can always count on them to support us to do the right thing from an ethical standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from a community standpoint. I work for an outstanding group of people and work with an outstanding group of managers who've chosen to work here instead of other stores. Volkswagen is a very exciting franchise at the moment. They've got tremendous growth planned for next year. They have over 100% growth planned next year from their 2011 sales that are projected. So 2012, they're projected to do 450,000 units. So and we've got fantastic product arriving every day. So we just received our first Beetle. We've got our Passats, which are all new, which just hit yesterday. So there's a lot of excitement in the brand.
Well, I know you continue to be recognized, not only in the industry but manufacturer as well. I'm going to do two things. One, I want to ask if there's anything else you think is worth sharing that you want to make sure you have a chance to do with the group. And then I'm going to turn it over and open it up to questions. We have quite a crew of folks that I'll introduce after we get through this next portion. So anything else you think you'd like to share, Russell, before we open it up to questions?
One of the things that we like to do is we still do a photo on delivery with our guests. We think that helps carry a lot of excitement. That's something I think is really makes the guest feel great about their experience. We try to provide value whenever we're having an interaction with the guest on the phone or an email template. So we try to always provide something of value, either information, photographs, product information, reviews, a video, e-commerce, an e-brochure, and an email. And those are all things that we like to do to keep in touch with the guest. And our basic focus is an emphasis on appointments. Appointments are absolutely key to making sure that your guest has a good experience at the store. If we have earned the right to ask for an appointment by providing value through our email follow-up and providing value on the phone with a guest, then we've earned the right to ask for them to come at a specific time so we can serve them better. So a lot of emphasis on appointments, and appointments close at a much higher ratio. So by focusing on appointments, that's helped everything.
Great. That's it. I can't thank you enough for sharing and opening up the hood, so to speak, on your shop and all the wonderful things you're doing. We've got a great group of folks that have dialed in that know of you. West Broad is on the phone, Fletcher Jones, you've got the Vadden Group, McDonough. Charlie Vogelheim, by the way, is also joined in. So what I'd like to do is, Jeremy, I'm not sure if you want me to do this or you, but I'm going to unmute everyone, and I'll just sort of open it up to questions. So give me a second here and just make sure we've got everyone indeed unmuted.
I think I can unmute everyone.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. And anyone that is in a noisy environment, I know it's tough, but just keep that in mind, and if you can stay on mute until you have a question, usually this works pretty well.
There's also the Q&A chat when people don't voice.
Okay. So anyone that wants to do the Q&A on the right-hand rail of their WebEx, feel free, and I'd say anyone that wants to go ahead and ask Russell anything, please feel free. And the only thing I don't know is if everyone is indeed unmuted. Yep, it looks like they are now. Okay. So, Lisa, Brandon, Andrew, anything at all you'd like to ask Russell? I keep going down the list, but I'd be reading off names all day. Wow, this is a first. Usually, Russell, we have countless questions. Either you've done a phenomenal job and covered every one of the inquiries they might have had, or somewhere or another the mute's not working correct. So, again, there's Q&A.
Yeah, you can also type a question in the lower right-hand screen. It'll show up. Okay.
Okay. What I'll do is an added safety net here. Oh, hold on a second. We got some questions coming in now. Andrew has a question. Roughly how many leads are you running at a month right now? and I think they're trying to do the reverse math, so to speak, off your close rate. But roughly, how many leads a month are you looking at?
We include in our what we get overall. We're running on average, I would say, about 800 opportunities a month, whether it be repeat referral, service leads, internet leads. You know, about 800 opportunities, and that's walk-in, referral, repeat, internet, everything all together.
And
the
another
internet,
question from what?
Yeah, the internet is about 50% to 60% of the business on any given month.
Okay. And from a salespeople standpoint, you know, how many folks are on the team right now? And I know you're distributing leads based on availability, but sales team size?
Sales team, we're currently at 10.
Okay. And are you trying, I don't even want to seed it, so I'll just ask it in a different way. Is there a ratio or threshold you like to keep it under as far as leads per sales rep, you know, the number of leads they get to work in a given month?
It's really based on how hard they're willing to work because it's based on availability. So if they're here more often or free more often, it all equals out. Some salespeople have figured out that if they get in early in the morning, they can pick up a greater share of leads because a lot of the leads, as you know, in the internet business come in overnight still. Not everybody shops at work. So we still have people that are looking after work and shopping. So there's more leads that come in the morning on the internet in the morning. So the salespeople that want to get more leads can come in earlier.
So it's not, you'd be able to set up on almost, it's not a sense of entitlement. It's like, look, if you want to work hard, if you want to raise your hand, and if you want to be a go-getter, you'll get more leads. Step right up.
Well, it's a matter of letting the tower know that they're available for those leads. These are not distributed by a sales manager who's working deals. These are assigned by a staff member who's watching the inbox every minute. So there's no way that we could have a 12% close. No way we could have a 12-minute response time otherwise. They can't be round robin.
No, and the results speak for themselves. So I just want to make sure folks understand that. I got a question coming in from the Vadden Group. Carrie, do you do a newsletter?
We do a newsletter. We send out a newsletter with IMN, and we do our own content every month in addition to the content that they've got for the brand and for the area. They've been an excellent partner, very responsive. We've been using them for over 3 years. And one of the things we do at our store is different. We separate the list by salesperson. So that's one of the things that we've done to help attract a good sales force and keep them as the newsletter actually goes out from the salesperson. So it has their picture on it, their email, their phone number. And whenever that newsletter goes out, we get a big uptick in calls and visits. So we found it to be, and email leads. So we found it to be a really good tool for us.
No, that probably only further encourages the reps themselves to help, come up with good ideas for content.
Yes, and everybody in the store contributes content. So they're all sending me a blog that they saw or something that they saw, and then we pick the best of the bunch, and that's what goes in the newsletter.
And another question from Carrie was, you mentioned AutoTrader, Cars.com, Edmunds. Any other third-party lead providers that you use that you think are worth mentioning?
Costco, AutoTrader, KBB, Edmunds. We really are not going with any other lead provider that doesn't either already have an audience or a membership. If they're just going to send us leads because they're in search engine marketing, that's not something that we want because that's going to reduce our organic listings.
Okay. Brandon Dunn with Fletcher Jones has a question. I think, to be fair, it seems very specific to RL, Response Logics, and use of the back-end tool. So if you're okay with that, Russell, I'm going to just go out on a limb here. I think it's fair to say that Russell and Brandon, I'm going to sync you guys up afterward, and I'm hoping Russell might show you how he does some of the configurations in his back-end tool. for pricing specials and the like. I think that'll answer your question, because we really do try to stay away from this being a sales presentation for Response Logics, for lack of a better term.
That's fine.
And I'll just open it up. One is the newsletter that Russell mentioned. We'll make sure everyone that's attending today's call gets a copy of that. I'll get that out to you so you can get a sense of how they do that. And I'll get Russell's email address out to everyone. And just, I would please keep in mind Russell has a day job, busy like the rest of you. Try not to bombard him with too much at once. Another question from Carrie that just came in. Please describe your one-on-one in a little more detail. The expectations you set, and the coaching, if there is a not meeting expectation. Is that in a private setting? Are there group leaderboards, or is it all sort of one-on-one? Is there any group setting as well?
We do training twice a week with the sales staff. New programs, what's coming in, how to use the tool, how the process works, reminders of how everything is supposed to work. We do training twice a week. We do it with the entire sales staff. We have 2 days where everybody's here, and then the rest of the week we've got 3 days when everybody's here, and then we have our days off. So we try to set up training with the sales force, and then we do one-on-one whenever it's necessary. We have a sales trainer. I do the majority of the sales training, and I'm always available if I've got a salesman who needs help closing a guest, or we need to run through and figure out how to respond to somebody in the email, or we just need to sit down and they're having a bad month and we need to get them out of a rut, and I help them with their goal setting and help them with where they need to go, and we try to focus on a practical plan to get them out of wherever they're at to where they need to be. And usually it comes down to the basics. Usually it comes down to reverse engineering what their sales goal needs to be, how many ups they're going to need, how many outbound phone calls they need to make, and so forth.
And as far as you staying with your own personal A game, so you're in a position to train, coach on the very latest and greatest, are there any conferences, websites, online universities, blogs? Are there anything that you'd like to mention that just helped you kind of stay in tune with those latest and greatest?
We've been attending, because of the CRM installation coming up, I won't be attending the Digital Dealer, but I have attended the majority of the Digital Dealer seminars. Those are excellent. We watch Dealer Elite, Dealer Refresh, Automotive Digital Marketing, Dealer Magazine, Automotive News. Brian Pash has got a fantastic blog, and we're big readers of all those resources to help keep us current.
I appreciate that.
Special thank you to Brian Pash for probably having the best content of any of those bloggers out there. He's certainly on top of his game, and we usually hear about key industry changes from him before anyone else. So runs an outstanding group. Also, Paul Protratz is an excellent website, great newsletter content. He really knows his stuff.
Any other questions from folks out there? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you, I think, the guy you just mentioned, okay, here it is. Do you have a web address for the blog? That's coming from Andrew Getchell. If you want, I can just email it out to everyone.
Andrew can email me, and I'll get him the info.
Okay. Russell, what's your email address, just for the group, that you'd like them if they had another question?
Yeah, that's fine. It's russell@hewlettvw.com.
I always try to be respectful of your time, and we promise to try to keep it within sort of that 30-minute quick hit over lunch type webinar. So I'm going to sort of hold it to that. I hope everyone understands that. Again, Russell's got a day job. Hopefully everyone found this very informative. I'll also add, the only salesman I have is Russell. He's been a long time client with Response Logics. If you'd like to learn more about how we serve Russell, you can please email me at dw@responselogics, that's in Dennis Wichterman @responselogics.com, VP of Sales with the company, and I'd be happy to walk you through how we set up the custom solution for his shop. And I want to thank everyone for your time, and please continue coming to our webinars. Hopefully you found it informative. And Russell, thank you again so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.